The night she arrived, the air was electric with the promise of a storm. Our estate, usually a haven of peace, seemed to hold its breath. I am Clara, and this is the story of how I met Leora, the woman who turned my world upside down. From the moment her piercing green eyes met mine, I was ensnared. Little did I know, her arrival marked the beginning of a descent into darkness and a bond that would challenge everything I believed. Join me, if you dare, as I unveil the secrets that lurk in the shadows and the choice that bound me to an eternal, unsettling fate. I remember vividly the day she arrived. The air was thick with the scent of impending rain, and the clouds hung low, as if they, too, awaited her presence. My name is Clara, and this is the story of my encounter with the enigmatic Leora. It was the summer of my 18th year, a season marked by both languid days and restless nights. Our estate, nestled in the remote countryside, was a place of solitude and serenity. Or so it had been, until that fateful evening. I was wandering through the gardens, lost in thought, when I heard the sound of a carriage approaching. Curious, I made my way to the front of the house, where I found my father speaking with a stranger. The woman, clad in a dark cloak, exuded an air of mystery and elegance. Her eyes, a piercing shade of green, met mine, and I felt a shiver run down my spine. Clara, my father called, come and meet our unexpected guest. This is Leora. She will be staying with us for a while. Leora smiled, her lips curving in a way that seemed both inviting and dangerous. It's a pleasure to meet you, Clara. From that moment on, Leora and I were inseparable. She was captivating, her presence like a magnetic force that drew me in. We spent our days exploring the estate, talking about everything and nothing. Yet, there was always an unspoken tension, a sense of something hidden beneath her charm. One night, as we sat by the fire in my room, Leora began to tell me about her past. Her voice was soft, almost hypnotic, as she spoke of distant lands and forgotten times. I listened, entranced, until she reached out and took my hand. Clara, she whispered, her eyes locking onto mine, do you believe in the supernatural? I hesitated, unsure of what to say. I don't know. I've never given it much thought. She leaned closer, her breath warm against my skin. There are things in this world that defy explanation. Things that can change the course of your life forever. As she spoke, I felt a strange sensation wash over me, a mixture of fear and fascination. Leora's gaze never wavered, and I found myself unable to look away. That night, I had the first of many vivid dreams. In them, Leora was always there, her presence both comforting and terrifying. I awoke each morning with a sense of dread, yet I was inexplicably drawn to her. Days turned into weeks, and my health began to deteriorate. I became pale and weak, plagued by a constant fatigue. My father, worried and desperate, called for the best doctors, but none could explain my condition. One evening, as I lay in bed, Leora appeared at my door. She moved silently, her steps barely making a sound. Clara, she murmured, sitting beside me, you must trust me. Her words, though soothing, filled me with a sense of foreboding. What's happening to me, Leora? She sighed, a look of sorrow crossing her face. There is a darkness that surrounds us, a force that binds us together. I never meant to harm you, but my nature is not one that can be easily controlled. I stared at her, realization dawning. You're a vampire. Leora nodded, her eyes filled with an ancient sadness. I am. And now, you must choose. To stay with me, to become like me, or to find a way to break free. The decision was agonizing. I was torn between my love for Leora and my fear of the unknown. In the end, it was love that won. That night, under the pale light of the moon, I made my choice. Leora and I would be together, bound by an eternal bond. As her fangs pierced my skin, I felt a rush of both pain and ecstasy. And in that moment, I knew that my life would never be the same. Weeks passed in a blur of nights and shadows. One evening, As the full moon bathed the landscape in silver light, Leora took me to a hidden part of the estate. We walked through the dense forest, the silence broken only by the rustling leaves and the occasional call of a night bird. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice barely more than a whisper. "You'll see," Leora replied, her grip on my hand firm and reassuring. Eventually, we arrived at an ancient, ivy-covered chapel. Its stone walls were weathered and cracked, but there was an undeniable beauty in its decay. Leora pushed open the heavy wooden doors, and we stepped inside. The interior was illuminated by the soft glow of candles, casting flickering shadows on the walls. At the center of the chapel stood an ornate altar, draped in rich, crimson fabric. Leora led me to it, her expression solemn. "This place," she began, "is sacred to my kind. It is here that we come to honor our ancestors and to seek guidance." I felt a sense of awe and reverence wash over me. "Why have you brought me here?" Leora turned to face me, her eyes shimmering with an ethereal light. "To show you that our love, our bond, is not a curse but a gift. We are part of a lineage that stretches back centuries, and now, you are a part of it too." As we stood before the altar, I felt a surge of emotions, fear, joy, and an overwhelming sense of belonging. Leora took my hands in hers and began to chant softly, her voice resonating through the chapel. The candles' flames danced and grew brighter, enveloping us in their warm glow. In that moment, I understood the true depth of our connection. We were bound by more than just love. We were linked by an ancient and powerful force. I felt a profound peace settle over me, and for the first time, I fully embraced my new existence. Now, as I write these words, I can hear Leora calling to me. Our bond is strong, our love unbreakable. I have embraced the darkness, and it has embraced me in return. Together, we walk the night, eternal and inseparable.